Easy, how are we?
Shawnee, I'm a bit nervous.
Uh-oh. I for once, I think I know where you're going with this and why you're a bit nervous.
Well, it's the week of the marathon, and sure, by the look of our group, I don't know if anyone has a marathon in them.
You know what? I said I did a horrible 23K on Saturday, and like the last 3K I was hanging on for dear life, and I had a story up, and Monroe had said something similar because I was like, here, I'm actually unsure about this, and a few people got onto it. I was like, you're doing it? Because he's like, oh, fair play. Another lad's like, I don't know if I'm going to make this. Like, no, you're doing it. That's it. I'm like, okay, I'm doing it, Fred. I'm doing it. But then Monroe was like, oh, I think a lot of us are in the same boat for this one. We're all questioning spring marathons, and all of a sudden, you guys are on the pub the day before. It's something to do with Scotland, France, and Ireland. I'm not too sure what's going on in that department because I'm a Villa and 49ers man. My heart's been broke with sport this year. So, how are you feeling?
Well, good. Just my Strava is kind of wondering where I am. No, we got a couple of short little spins in. No big running. Cleaner, who was part of the Fantastic Four, actually messaged me over the weekend going, "Are you still alive?" Like, how are you going to complete a marathon? You didn't do much running this week, and it is true, I did not. Just with I was away on the weekend doing underwater, or during the week doing underwater escape training, and yeah, so basically you're in a fake helicopter and you sit in your seats, you're strapped in, and it lowers you into the water, and the water just comes up slowly, and then you're
Oh, God.
submerged, and then it rolls inverted, and then you have to get out. It feels
Oh,
like
that's
an
like
hour.
that Kevin Costner movie.
What?
Isn't that
Oh,
Kevin
something
Costner
about the
movie?
Coast Guard, isn't it?
Yeah. I think I've seen it in a movie or something like that. Is there any, like, let's say something goes south in that, like, how much time do you have before someone gets you?
Oh no, there's divers and all right beside you. There's three people, safety divers, one in it with you. He's holding his breath as well, keeping an eye on you. And then there's two divers on oxygen, like right outside, that can get you out. Like it feels like an eternity, like it's mad. You take a deep breath and you hold it, and the water's rising from your belly button to your chest, gets to your neck, and you're like, did I take a deep breath? I don't know, take another one. Then you go inside and you're like, oh no, they're already full. Oh shit. It's my first time doing it was horrible. I didn't enjoy it at all. This time around, I knew what to expect. This is my third or fourth time doing it now. But you also have an oxygen bottle, so you can actually breathe for 2-3 minutes if you want. But I found it real difficult. If you're not used to breathing in and out on these things, breathing out, actually, funny enough, is the hard part, because you kind of have to break. There's a seal inside that obviously keeps the water out. So when you blow out, no water can get in. But to overcome that, you have to do a big kind of, out exhale. But you don't really trust that you can breathe. So you're like, do I want to let go of all my breath, or do I just hold my breath? So half the time I just held my breath and got out, even though I had oxygen in my mouth, because I was breathing out like very little, and then trying to breathe in, I was like, oh, my lungs are still full. So it was just, it's so unnatural. It's probably the way to describe it.
So you're in the helicopter, it's turned upside down, you have this oxygen bottle, and obviously the goal is to get out, like, but like, how long do you have?
Well, you have 2 or 3 minutes plus a breath hold. Now, most times everyone gets out within, it feels like an hour. Like, honestly, when you wonder, it feels like a minute. But in actual fact, if you were to watch back the video, from the time your head goes under the water to the time you're out of the helicopter, is 7, 8, maybe 10 seconds. The last one is a little bit when you have to, like, you go to get out of your window, but the window is blocked. So then you have to cross the aircraft upside down and change seats and then get out the other side. That one is maybe 15 to 20 seconds at a maximum. Like, you're talking, like, if I held my breath now, you do 15 seconds. But when you have the water films, like in a movie when you crash the car into the river and the water is coming up, it's take a breath. That's exactly what it's like. But it's a thrill now, but when I started doing it, they didn't enjoy it. And I wouldn't say I enjoy it, but I've learned to deal with it and train, and that's why you're training. You're training to deal with this.
How disorientating it is to be turned upside down, because you're being turned upside down. Is it like, okay, everything is inverted to come back out, or when you're in that position going,
it's completely disorientating. Yeah, and that's the whole idea. You do the training, and in fairness to the guys and the training that you do, and those who've done it know what I'm talking about. When you crash onto the water or whatever it is in a helicopter, the weight is in the top, so the likelihood is a helicopter will roll upside down because the mass of the aircraft is in the transmission and the engines, which sit on top. So any waves or anything, if the floats don't deploy, 100 per, well, I'd say 95% of the time, it's going to roll upside down.
Right.
So when you're doing that one part, you have to hold on to where your seatbelt is. Your seatbelt unlock is always at your belly button. So if you can put your hand on your belly button while you're driving, you'll find that. The other important one, or the real important one, is to keep your hand on your reference point, the escape window, whatever it may be, because when you go upside down, you lose track of which way is up. And some people will try and swim underneath the seats to get out, like you can get really, really orientated. So if you lose track of your reference point, it's very hard to find out which way is up and where things are. Particularly if you release your seatbelt before you've kind of found your escape, if you try and push out a window when your seatbelt is off, it's like pushing off a wall in a swimming pool. You're just going to go the opposite direction. So there's all those kind of factors to do. Like those who've done it, and some people are absolute demons at it, holding their breath competitions to see who can stay in it longer. For me, it's like, oh God, how quick can I get out of this? So with all that going on this week and a busy week, so there wasn't much running this week or this weekend, but some light running now this week. Feeling good though. I actually think I'll be okay up until probably 32K.
And then you're grand if you're doing it in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Did you hear about this?
No.
So in Los Angeles this weekend, it's probably going on or starting as we record this intro. They said it could go up to 25, 26 degrees. So if you have to pull out at the 18-mile mark, you still get your finisher medal.
Jeez, we could work something out here, couldn't we?
I know. I'm Barcelona. Take notice. The running world is going ballistic over, because you and I know, anyone who's done a marathon knows, the marathon does not start until the 20-mile mark. It's the last 10Ks that make it or break it. You can do a half decent pace. Like even a couple 6-7 weeks ago, I was training for Dundee. I did a half decent pace up to 30K, but I barely got to 30K. That last 12 would have taken me 2-3 hours to do the pace I was going to get 30. The race really starts at 32, but no, 18 mile in, it's it's a warm day. But having said that, Berlin the other year, I think it was 29, 30 degrees. But I don't know if this is going to be a start of a new trend, or people are going to be like, nah, a marathon is a marathon regardless of conditions. I understand health and safety, all that, but it's
Ironman will still give you a finisher's medal if they cancel the swim. It's it is a marathon. No, is it an Ironman?
But it's still it's not a marathon though.
And yeah, so it's well, look, they've already paid for the medals, haven't they? So,
just hand it out.
Well,
they would after 18 while ago. I'm done.
At the same time, you can give out the T-shirt, the Twixes, the Cadburys, and the medal because you've bought 20,000 of them from China with their tariffs, and then you can't storing them is more expensive than giving them out. So. And it says 2026 on it. So to say it's marketing 101 is, we'll still give you a medal. Well done. Of course I'm not storing this stuff in my bag or whatever. Of course I'm going to give you the medal. And then they're like, they're so nice. All you've given people is an out. That's all. And that's all they're going to think about after 18 miles is, I can pull out now. But then your Strava is more... People are more afraid of what their Strava says about them than the finisher's medal. So, and then you don't have an official marathon time because you didn't finish a marathon. So it's a DNF as far as the timeline is concerned. But if you still get the medal, that's grand. But from the organisers, that's a genius move. We're taking care of...
don't know. They're getting off the piece for it.
Care of you, but also we really need to get rid of these 20,000 medals. So yeah, no, but it's but a marathon's a marathon, and conditions are the conditions. People in the likes of Singapore, Abu Dhabi, all these places where it does be 25, 26, 27 as a standard, and that's called a good day. They'll be a bit peeved, but at the same time, it's good marketing. Getting rid of the stock they don't want to hold on to.
I don't know about being good marketing, but I see where you're coming from with that. But before we talk more about the Barcelona Marathon, people listening, because if your goal, and your goal never was to get into the New York Marathon, did you hear about the cutoff times for this?
Oh no, what's it going to now?
So the other way, it's usually I think it's 2:55. No, I'm old. It's 3 hours now for me to get into to New York Marathon. But there's usually like a buffer. So let's say a ton of people apply for that. It could be like -6 minutes or 7 minutes or 8 minutes, something like that. So I really needed 2:52.
Okay.
This year, it was nearly -24 minutes.
Holy.
So to get in to the New York Marathon, I would need to have done a 2:36. Either 2:36 or a 2:31. I'm not too sure if I fall into 2:55 or the 3-hour bracket. Just to qualify.
There's not many people in Ireland that could qualify. You know, when you look
That's in their age group, yeah.
when you look across the spectrum of people who are finishing at 2:36 or below, they're phenomenal athletes. Like they're
Unbelievable.
amazing. It's marathons have become their sport, and they're even like, geez, I mightn't qualify. That's
A
bananas.
sub 3 hour in that context is just simply not that fast anymore, and people are giving out. But it's the supply and demand of it now.
And
Like it's that way. It's hard to get in.
do you reckon this is, obviously the majors, and everyone has this bucket list. I'm glad it's not really my bucket list, because if you were
Well, it's
sucked
not
in,
mine anymore.
well, if you were sucked into it, do you know what I mean? If you had 3 or
Mm.
4 done and you were trying to get, like, imagine trying to get a ticket and then your hopes and dreams are tarnished. You're gone. Now, I know there's
Yep.
charity options and there's tour options and all that, and you can get it done, but it's, that's a bit bleak.
Expensive. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
pretty
expensive.
all right.
And
It's pretty expensive to go that route.
yeah.
Unless with the AGR tour, of course, which is nowhere
Unless
near
you're
as
the
expensive.
AGR. Yeah, 50
And better
sorry
swag.
souls are coming with us. We're meeting on Friday in the airport. So for those, very best of luck with your preparation this week. I am looking forward to seeing you all. This is a busy couple of weeks for me, but it will work out in the end, I think. All matter of a marathon to take on, and then afterwards a good party and a good time. And the possibility we will not be doing a spring marathon again in 2027. That is a strong possibility.
For the lack of time and training Eric put into the training of running the marathon, it all went into the logistics around the marathon. So that always goes
100%.
swimmingly, in fairness
It
to you.
always
But the
does.
actual race itself is skeptic, to say the least.
I'm just waiting for that moment in Dublin Airport when everyone's checking in. I'm like, oh shit! As soon as everyone gets a ticket and walks through, I'm like, oh, thank God! Right, we're on.
Yeah.
We'll see how she goes. But yeah, really excited to travel with everyone this weekend. Saving my energy. That's what I was doing this week. I'll try not to die underwater. But it's a fantastic week. I'm excited to meet everyone. I know for a lot of people, it's like that. It's something in the water. A lot of our groups, some have been doing fantastic training. Some are hitting PBs. Majority are just like, oh my God, we need to survive this marathon. And that's what we will do. But we'll have a bit of fun along the way doing it and a nice weekend away. So after this, we'll be all talk about the Barcelona Marathon. We will look at another marathon or maybe something slightly different in 2027. So if it is something you want to do, traveling with us, keep an eye out on what we talk about and how we look at things over the next couple of months.
Well, that's how like 50, 60 people get involved. But at the end of this particular episode, Eric, there's something where one person can get involved with doing a race with you. Do you want to talk about that now, or see where you're out ledging to cash and checks? I'm not too sure you're asking cash in this one, because you talk a lot at the end of this episode.
Yeah, if you want to suffer with me for something, you better listen to the end. And I need someone. I was thinking, they have to be worse than me, but no, you have to be really fit. You have to drag me around. That's the new attitude. But yeah, have a listen to the end of this, and there will be tickets up for grab. And I and one of our unlucky listeners, because you're going to have to carry me around, are going to suffer through an event. So this one's a good listen.
What an Easter Sunday it's going to be for one of you. And with that said, it's this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. Let's go. Our next guest on the Any Given Run Day podcast, the co-founder of HSI, Hybrid Series Ireland, taking up hybrid training after a very successful period in triathlon world that included the World Championship appearance in Nice. She's also done pretty well in Hyrox with numerous podiums and has gone on to the World Championships in Hyrox twice so far. Rachel Farrell, welcome to this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. How are you getting on?
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. All is good now.
Rachel, you don't do things by halves. Well, apart from the half Ironman World Championships we had you on for the last time we were talking to you.
It's a bit of luck, I think, as well.
I have to start by asking, because anyone who wants to find out more about you, we do, and we will highlight the episode you did with us. We're going back a couple of years, and you did yourself the country proud and a great show in the Ironman game. At that time, you seemed very much into triathlon, and triathlon was everything and anything. How did we go from there to where we are now? What brought this switch around?
Yeah, that's a good question. It kind of happened by accident, to be honest. So I had been doing a lot of triathlons and Ironman when I lived away in Dubai. And then I moved to Canada. And where I was, the roads were just so bad, like really, really dangerous to cycle on. So it was either doing hours of indoor training on the bike or not go out. So I didn't really want to do that. So I naturally kind of progressed to start doing indoor work in the gym, like strength training. And then did that for a year or two before I moved home. And I was like, God, I really like this. So I kind of naturally drifted out of triathlon from that experience. And then when I came home, went back to the CrossFit gym that I'd been a member of before I lived abroad. And we actually had a group going up to a CrossFit competition up in Dublin on like a Saturday. And a friend of a friend had said to one of my friends, oh, there's a competition on Sunday in Dublin. Would Rachel be interested in doing it with me? Didn't really know what it was, but I had said, yeah. I was like, sure, look, we'll be up in Dublin anyway. Why not? So did the CrossFit on the Saturday, and then was really excited to go to this new event on Sunday that we didn't know much about. It wasn't a big event. It was just a kind of little competition that was on in a gym, but it ended up being a Hyrox. So when
Just this little
I got there, I
event.
was like, it wasn't as big as it is now. Like people, well, I definitely didn't know what Hyrox was. I'd never heard of it. So when I got there and he was telling me what we were doing, I was like, oh, this sounds class. So he was a CrossFitter. I was never really a true CrossFitter, let's say. So I'd been more kind of inclined to do the endurance kind of things. So once we started doing the event, I was like, oh my God, this is actually class. I was like, we should really bring this to Galway. And the owner of the CrossFit gym back home was actually there with me. And on the way home, we were like, this is class. This would be perfect for those people, I suppose, like me, who were never really truly into CrossFit, but kind of was, kind of halfway there. So on the way home, we just said, look, we need to become an affiliate. And he had also said then there's a Hyrox event in Dublin in November. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll definitely do that. So looked up tickets, but there was no tickets left for the women open. Now I did see the women's pro, but didn't even think that was a thing. So just was like, oh, there's no tickets. What can you do? But the owner of the CrossFit gym was in another car. He was like, look, Rachel, I can actually get you a ticket. Are you up for doing it? I said, oh my God, yeah, he must have a contact or something. So within 10 minutes, I got an email saying, congratulations, you have confirmed your spot for Hyrox Dublin Women's Pro Singles. And I was like, oh my God, shit. I was like, what has he done? Because like, obviously it's a different level then, the weights are higher. Anyway, did it, and it all kind of spiraled then from there. And there's kind of been no turning back between that event and then Hyrox became really popular in the gym once we set up the affiliate, and that's kind of where it all stemmed from.
Rachel, can I ask, because for those who are listening who still don't know, or well, I think it's so in your face now that I think everybody who's involved in a 5K, 10K, anywhere in the country will have heard of Hyrox. But the one bit that you've raised and probably we haven't discussed or talked about is the difference between CrossFit and Hyrox. We've touched on it, what it is, but to hear your perspective of, I'm not a CrossFitter, but I'm more suited to this Hyrox element. What is the difference between a CrossFitter and what makes, in your opinion, this hybrid racing, I suppose, so much more attractive?
So a quick one for you. What's your secret weapon when the legs are feeling tight before a run?
Oh, that pre-run stiffness is real. Lately, Sean, back in my cold environment, I've been reaching for Ultra Pure Wintergreen Heat Rub. It's become a part of my everyday warm-up routine.
Absolutely same here, especially for the odd tempo run I do or the cold morning miles. I massage into my calves, and Lord knows I need help with my calves, quads to get that warming sensation going.
The gentle heat really helps me feel ready to move, and the wintergreen gives it that classic comforting sports rub feel.
And it's ideal for those cold training days or when your muscles need that extra little bit of help to feel ready.
It absorbs easily, so it's perfect for your gym bag, race bag, or even keeping in the car for after a tough session.
So whether you're prepping for a run or easing off afterwards, it's a great addition to your training routine.
So if you're building your training kit, check out UltraPure Wintergreen Heat Rub.
Elevate your everyday with UltraPure.
Find it online at ultrapurelabs.ie or in your local pharmacy or health store. By listening to this advert, you are supporting this podcast and Irish businesses. Now let's get back to the episode.
I think CrossFit, there's probably a lot more technical elements and skill required. You know, you have like gymnastics, you have serious strength, and you have kind of fitness as well. Whereas Hyrox is really, it's much more fitness based, I think, anyway. You know, all of the movements are very accessible, low skill. Anybody can do it. You know, your granny could probably do each of the stations. You know, they're very functional, no skill required technically. And you can do it as fast, as slow as you like. So yeah, I just think it's probably a bit more accessible and not as much skill required.
Rachel, I was actually looking back at some of the notes of what Eric did interview with you back in episode 26. It was the first time you were on the Any Given Run Day podcast. And you talked about, you did your first Olympic triathlon. And at the end of it, you're at to sit like on the wall, you feel like getting sick, and you're like, never again. And then I saw a recent post about there's something nice about being in the pain cave. And it's an image of you, I think you're doing a sled pull. When you're doing these events, like, do you, like, what is that? What is the pain cave like in one of these at the higher level for the pro? And for anyone that doesn't know, like the pro, the weights go up so much in the sled, in the wall balls. It's a lot different animal. Like you can go to these events, you can enjoy them. We're going to talk a little bit more about how like in the half sims you guys now have in hybrid series. It's really cool, really inclusive that anyone can participate in these events. But at the higher level that you've been at, like the world championships and all that, and the pro, like that's suffering. What is that like? How do you push yourself through something like that?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny one, like, and it's kind of hard to describe without sounding like an absolute psychopath. Like, I don't know. There's just something about it that just makes you feel so alive, like, and the feeling you have when you're finished, you're just on such a high. And I think what makes you appreciate it more is if you're ever sick or if you're ever injured and you can't perform or you can't run, you're like, oh my God, how lucky was I to be able to do all that stuff injury free in my full health. I think that kind of has played a part in my life as well. You know, obviously there's been times where I've been sick and maybe nothing too serious injury wise, but that kind of drives me on a lot when I'm in my full health and I'm, you know, in the middle of a workout and I'm feeling absolutely horrible, like, but I also feel alive. I think, yeah, it's just something in you that wants you to keep going. And, you know, I suppose you're grateful for your body to be able to do such things. So that's kind of what gets me through. I think of those times when I'm injured and, you know, how lucky I am to be able to drive it on.
When we look at fitness, right, you came on like just 300 episodes between now and then. But when you look at fitness, you were phenomenally fit. You were an Ironman athlete. You were performing excellently well. Strength and conditioning when you're a triathlete is very difficult to fit in as part of the other millions of training sessions you have to do as part of the week. But now Hyrox could be considered as very much strength and conditioning along with running and endurance. How have you found the adaptation from your triathlon fitness into this? And as you've said, fit, healthy, injury free. Do you think you come across the same injuries now that you've moved away into this sport? Is it easier to maintain? Are you stronger and healthier for it in a sense that you're using more elements you probably haven't used in a long time when we go from triathlon swimming into this?
I definitely feel stronger. I feel like I'm a lot stronger as an athlete in Hyrox, let's say, in comparison to triathlon. Like triathlon, you just feel so fit, like you're going for hours, like, you know, your long spins, like you're just constantly going, where Hyrox obviously is a little bit shorter. I feel like your workouts are a lot shorter and more intense. Strength wise, like it's kind of hard to know what the best strength training is for Hyrox. Like personally, at the moment, I'm doing a lot of kind of like hypertrophy kind of training, do that kind of twice a week. And I found that that's really helped. Like the compromised running element of triathlons, that just means running on fatigued legs. Coming from that in triathlon has really helped in Hyrox, because obviously your legs are compromised all the time in Hyrox. So it kind of mimics that, you know, going from your cycle into your run in triathlon. I think that has really helped. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of triathletes doing well in Hyrox. they're used to compromised running, because that's something that a lot of people find hard. I think pure runners who are coming into Hyrox, they're like, oh my God, the run is like a different ball game. Do you know, like you're fresh when you're going out running, just a standalone run. But when you're trying to run after pushing a really heavy sled, let's say if you're even doing the pro women or something like that, it's a totally different story. But it is something you can train, like typical of triathlon. You train it and your body just gets used to it. So I think for anybody coming into the sport from a runner's background, that's really what they need to kind of work on, is that, maybe doing like a heavy, let's say, for example, sled push into a run and kind of repeating that just to get your body used to that kind of adaptation.
Rachel, can you talk a little bit more about your training? Because when we were up north for the Northern Ireland Running Show, one of the people in the audience asked you how you train throughout the week, and even Aoife was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And like, you guys made my job so easy up there on stage, so thank you very much for that. But on your training, you talked about, just like you did there, some of it was strength training, some of it was a bit of running, and then like once or twice a week you talked about doing more kind of specific, intense kind of workouts. I think, I could be wrong on this, a lot of people kind of make that mistake of like, every session has to be all out, kill yourself in a session for Hyrox level and compromise running and stuff all the time. How would you break up roughly a week of training for yourself?
Yeah, so roughly for me, like by no means I think this is perfect. I'm sure like there's loads of athletes doing different things, but I found what's worked for me is 3 run sessions. So one kind of threshold session, one track section, which would be short, sharp intervals, and then one long run. So they're the runs. Then 2 strength training days, so like full body strength training days, kind of hitting the same muscles each day. And then 2 to 3 mixed modality sessions. So they'd be kind of like Hyrox specific, or kind of mixing everything together. So it could be like stuff like, a sled push into a row, into a run, kind of repeated a couple of times. So that always changes. And yeah, that split works for me. And I think it's good because there's so much variety. I feel like you never get bored. Whereas with triathlon, I absolutely loved it at the time. But coming from that into this, I'm like, oh, that's so exciting. Like, what am I going to do today? Kind of, obviously there's still structure there, but like, you're just changing it up so much, and it's really exciting. I think if you asked me to go back now and do an Ironman, I'd be like, no thanks.
The other side is mentality of it, because you've said it's shorter, sharper, and you've been hurting, and as we've alluded back to the endurance and those with compromised legs and that endurance element. There is a mental side to this, and I very much discovered that mental side when Sean signed me up for probably the worst Christmas present I've ever gotten.
You're welcome.
But what I did have, and Sean will say, is I wasn't quick, but I did have a mental side. Like, I'm too stubborn to quit. That is a massive benefit, particularly when you're talking about the pros, when you're doing 100 wall balls as your finest thing. Like, how much does the racing side come into it at your level, and also then the mental side of that ability to find your limit and then push past that and keep going? Particularly in early on when you were doing it, was that the part that you enjoyed, that you were reaching those levels without having to do 90-kilometer swims and cycles and 300 kilometers here and there? Like, you were getting there in 15 minutes and going, okay, we need to keep this, or like, how was that whole experience? And is that, for me, that's the attractive side. I can have the same level of suffering and endurance, but it's over in an hour and 30 or an hour and 15 or an hour. Is that something you found attractive to it as well?
Yeah, definitely. So the mental suffering, I think, didn't last as long. So pretty much like what you said there, like it's going to be over within maybe like an hour and a half, obviously depending on your ability or whatever, but you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I think, like, in comparison to Ironman, I think it's a lot mentally tougher because you're kind of out there by yourself on these long spins, long runs, long swims, like even on race day. Whereas with Hyrox, like, the atmosphere is unbelievable. Like, even thinking about it, I kind of get excited. Like, there's hundreds of people around you. The music is on. You see people suffering. You see people, having a tough time, and that kind of encourages you to encourage them, and also to drive it on for yourself. So I think mentally on race day, it's not as hard as we might think. I think the training might be mentally hard for people sometimes, to just, you're suffering so much and you're going through a really high intensity kind of session. But it's always going to be short enough. Like, there's not going to be anything too long. So I think that helps. But in training, it would kind of develop your mental strength, I think,
Your training's definitely worked for you because you've been at the highest level. But I want to talk about one place in particular. Nice, France. You've been there for the World Championships in both Hyrox and Ironman. How did that's a phenomenal statement there in itself. Like at the highest level, you're there in one place, two different World Championships. How did they both compare on that day for you, Rachel?
That's actually mad that you say it. I never really tweaked that. Obviously I did, but I never actually realised it. Yeah, they've both been incredible experiences. I can actually really picture both of them really clearly now that you mention it. Like the Ironman World Champs were really fun because I had my family and two of my good friends there, and I feel like they were kind of popping up at every stage on the run, and somehow on the bike they managed to be at every point that spectators could be. So like the atmosphere there was amazing, like seeing people. But when you think of the bike route in France, in Nice that time, like it was really hilly. Like the minute you come off the Corniche, let's say, or the promenade, you were on your own for 90k. Whereas in Nice for the World Championships for Hyrox, there was people all around. Like the venue was absolutely massive. That's one thing I really remember. It's a different ballgame. There's people there all the time. And I think unbeknownst to yourself, having people around you there, even just looking at you, does drive you on, obviously. So again, that mental aspect of Ironman is a lot tougher. You're out there by yourself. Like there's nobody kind of cheering you on in the middle of the hill climb. You just have to get through it. But yeah, that's mad that you mentioned that. But I think the people around really help you, supporting you.
You're going to too many World Championships, Rachel. That's what's wrong. Or else you need to start picking more places. But it is cool, and that feeling. Because but if I recall, you had your name, you had Ireland, you were the tricolour. That feeling then of going to a World Championship as a Hyrox athlete. How does that compare for you? And for those who were getting into the sport and wondering, maybe as a childhood wanted to play football for Ireland, or wanted to swim, or wanted to run, or wanted to do everything. What does it mean now to go and represent Ireland in World Championships?
Hydration is key to fueling endurance performance.
Perform Nutrition's Electrolytes Plus sachets have been specifically designed to fill the need for advanced hydration for athletes.
With 1,000 milligrams sodium, all essential electrolytes, and 2,500 milligram performance blend made up of glutamine, taurine, and coconut water powder, one sachet will replenish and revitalize your hydration.
Using natural flavors, natural colors, no added sugar, and no added fillers, each sachet has a sweet and lightly salted fruity flavor and comes in either mixed berry or citrus.
Informed, sport tested, and trusted by Olympians such as Kate O'Connor, world champion boxer Aoife O'Rourke, and pro triathlete Nikki Bartlett, and many more elite athletes.
Trust Perform to fuel your excellence, and by listening to this advert, you are supporting Irish businesses and this podcast. Now let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, it would make you really proud. Like it's lovely. Like it's a big achievement to be able to say that you've represented your country. Like, and one thing Hyrox have done really well, I've never experienced anything like this, is they do like a parade of nations. So for both World Championships, they gather all the athletes that are from Ireland, and you meet in like a hall, and then they parade you in. Like, and
Brilliant.
like even that is just class. Like, give you goosebumps even thinking about it. Like, so someone is there holding the flag. It's like the Olympics, yeah. So, and then you're just kind of strolling around and they're kind of calling out your name and stuff. It's just like, oh, this is crazy. But it's an amazing time to meet other people who are on the same journey. And, a lot of us are kind of a little bit like, we have a feeling of imposter syndrome, like, well, what the heck are we doing here? Like, you really feel like you're in the Olympics, but it's mad. Yeah. And it's great. And I think it's something that everybody should strive to do, because there's so many athletes out there that are doing amazing work. And like, I think we're going to see more Irish athletes at World Championships in the coming years.
I was talking to someone recently about this, like the times that like Hyrox Dublin and stuff like that, they are dropping a lot. Times that would get you podium positions in other European cities. You won't, like, I'm nowhere near your level, Rachel, so even saying this story really makes me feel like a whatever. But like, we did the relay back in November for Hyrox, me and three of the lads, and as soon as we started, we realised we're well out of element here. Like, we haven't a hope. We finished like 18th overall, or maybe 18th AG, and even further overall. but our time would have got us a podium position had we done it in like Chicago the same weekend. Like, it just shows you how the standard in Ireland is so high. But Rachel, like, you talk about how much you love Hyrox, you love the training and all the rest. What made you go in the other side of it and starting organising events for this kind of thing? Because it's great doing the events, that the pressure's only on you and your performance and the backing of your training and going to the pain cave and all the rest. But you got a lot more to worry about when you start organising these events that you've done with HSI. What made you do that?
I think when we set up as an affiliate in Galway in our gym there, we saw like we ran small sims, basically small Hyroxes, kind of like that event I went to in Dublin as my first one. And we saw that people were coming from all over, like, and this was just a relatively small thing. It was basically, there was no chip timing. Obviously we timed it, but people were coming from all over, and we just said, God, like, there's only one Hyrox event a year in Ireland. There's definitely a need for more. You know, like, it's quite expensive for people and time consuming for people to fly abroad and, you know, take time off work, etc., book accommodation. You're talking about the guts of maybe $1,000 and maybe taking some time off work. So we just said, you know, like, as athletes ourselves, we'd love to be able to put on, let's say, a race for people to come to. Centre of Ireland is quite accessible, and I suppose it kind of came from us knowing the struggle of trying to enter races that are, you know, really good races that have like chip timing and have the whole atmosphere and have a big venue. So we're trying to kind of just, I suppose, do what Hyrox do, let's say on a little bit of a smaller scale, but offer more events for people in Ireland.
You say a smaller scale, but I've said this before in the podcast. It's a much nicer venue at Lone than it is in the RDS. You don't have to comment that, Rachel. I'll say it. Like the confusion of the loops and stuff for Hyrox. Is it 4 loops this time? Is it 3 loops the next time? And they have that kind of thing. You're not too sure where you're going, but it's a lot more simplified where you're at. It's just you can see the sun whenever it comes out in Ireland. Yeah. It's just a brighter venue. It's just a nicer place to train. Like, myself and Eric were down to Zemmerford, and it was really, really cool. But you also talked about doing like half sims and stuff as well. What's a half sim?
So a half sim, we just introduced this at our last event.
Wait, hold on a minute. There's a half version.
Yeah, I don't want to tell you about that one, Eric. Don't worry about it. Just go.
Is this in the one in
get a drink or something there, Eric. Don't listen to this part of
it.
Oh, Sean, there's a payback day coming for you.
So this is, I think, obviously Hyrox is accessible as it is, but I think we just said we want to make it even more accessible, because some people were still feeling a little bit daunted, like even, you know, the likes of my mom who'd say like, God, I'd love to do a Hyrox, but I don't want to do that 8K. So we just basically halved everything again. So rather than you doing a kilometre run, you're doing a 500 metre run. Rather than you doing a kilometre ski, you're doing a 500 metre ski. So everything is halved again. And like, I mean, absolutely anybody can do that. And like, that really proved itself in December. That was our first time kind of introducing that race. And it was lovely to see the kind of athletes that came for that. It would have been like moms who, you know, have never actually ran a 5K, and, you know, like sisters and brothers who hadn't been to the gym before. It's very, very, very doable. So like, that was definitely something that we were really happy we introduced, because, you know, it just brings a new clientele, and maybe if they do that for a while, they might want to do a full one then. So it's just all about making it a little bit even more accessible to people.
And is there a doubles version of that, Rachel?
Yeah.
So I could
have
done half of the half at Christmas or a Christmas present, but instead I was dragged through the full thing. Well, now it was as a double, so I'll give Sean credit. He did have some of it for me. He actually did 2/3 of it, so I'll give credit where it's due. But because no different to when we talk about triathlon, we always say swimming is the biggest barrier, it's the biggest fear. And in this case, running is the biggest barrier. People say, I hate running and I hate this and I hate that. How are these events, and maybe this double of the half, is this a way we can kind of show people you're not actually as bad as running as you think, and with all this extra training, your fitness is going to increase, and the run is actually not as long as you think once you get into it. How do we talk to those people who are like, look, running's not for me, I hate running, and so that rules out this entire event for me with all the other good stuff? How do we get that message across to them that this is good, this is easier than you think?
Yeah, we hear that every day, don't we? Do you know, people saying, I hate running. Like, it is so doable. Like, and in fact, you don't actually have to run it. You can walk that if you want. There's nobody, like, once you start, you can take 5 hours to complete. Like, but I think a good way of kind of getting those people in is maybe saying to them, look, run for 1 lap, walk for 1 lap, or even run for a minute, walk for a minute. Like, that's a really doable and like measured way to get through it. And like, I can actually guarantee it, anyone who tries it, that's actually the hardest thing, is getting there. But once they try it, they're like, oh my God, they just feel the buzz. There's something about it. And like, I think in Athlone, we're really lucky with the crew we have as well. There's somebody at every station, or a few people at every station, who are genuinely encouraging you. Like, you know, there are people from our gym that, you know, they see the struggle, they know the struggle, and they actually want to get you over the line. They want to see you achieve. And I think that makes a big difference as well on race day. Like that we're really lucky to have those people, like, because, you know, sometimes you might have a judge that are just like, okay, 1, 2, they're counting your reps, but like, these guys, you know, they know how you feel, and they're genuinely converting energy into you. Like, you know, I think that helps as well for those newbies.
Can I say on the Hyrox element? So from being away, you're very much what social media telling you the world is, and from what I could see was 8 packs, 4% body fat, unreal athletes, no clothes allowed. I was like, right, that's not for me. That's not the event for me, and that's what it's shown. And I was very nervous when we went to do your event, but the community feel of the one in Athlone, I have to say, caught me by surprise, because I didn't expect it. I had this version of what this sport was built up and portrayed to me through social media and everything else. Now, I knew there was others, but that's how I felt it was. And when I arrived, I was like, no, this is actually a really nice place. Everyone here is really nice. No one cares about you as an individual. I know you guys as organisers care about us as athletes, but the people competing beside me, they don't care. It's what are we doing, our own race, and seeing 100%. People and well done and smiles and high fives. It's not quite what it's made out to be. It's actually a really nice event and a real community event.
Definitely. Like, I really agree with you there. Like, it can be really daunting. Even my own social media feed, like, that's what I see when I search up Hyrox, but that's not what we're striving for. Like, obviously we did have a pro race at the last event, so like, we let the pros off, those real serious people, like elite athletes, let them off in the first couple of waves. You know, they're all against each other. That's brilliant. Let's have them together. But then after that, it's really your everyday people, you know, the people who are just kind of keeping fit. As I said, you have moms who just do daily walks. There was moms there with their daughters. Like, things like that were really nice to see. We had like a group of football, I think they were senior footballers, as in like over 40s, I think they were. There was a group of them that didn't do Hyrox before, all wearing their GAA jerseys. Like, there's a real kind of community feel, like, and absolutely no judgment, and like, everybody is welcome. Do you know, I think we had a guy competing, he was 72. And he got through it.
I think
no issues.
I think he passed me out on the 4th lap, actually.
You know, he was unbelievable, and he had the best attitude. I think that's all you need, is like, look, there's no time pressure on you. Like, take your time. You're going to be encouraged. This is not an elite person venue. Like, you know, it's for everybody. If you want to go in the elites, we'll put you off in the kind of faster waves. Like, so it is for everybody. Genuinely, it really is.
You guys seem to be doing great. Like, you had 450 or so at event 1, and then event 2 up to 1,200. It just seems to keep on going and going from there, Rachel.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just think people are kind of enjoying the Hyrox buzz at the moment, and they kind of feel the hype from the events, and it kind of encourages them to come back. So yeah, it's been great. So hopefully it keeps going.
When they're looking at, sorry, Rachel, and I'm just thinking of this because we've been an event, and anyone can just show up. And I always bring myself back to how daunting it is to just show up to something. A lot of gyms and a lot of local gyms are coming as a group towards this, and it's probably the nice way to get involved. You know, I always say, like, I'd like to do boxing, but I'd want to be a good boxer before I go boxing, you know, and a lot of people are thinking about this when they hear us talking about it, and they're like, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if I'm good. And now, unfortunately, most of our listeners are phenomenal runners, except for me and Sean. We don't listen, so it doesn't count. But we would have confidence because we know, well, a run's a run. We can do that part. So we're not too worried about the other half of the challenge. How do people make the soft introduction to this? Is there a list of affiliate gyms you have? Is it a case of, you know what, sign up to your event and just start at home and come along and just go to each station and figure it out. What's the best way for people to go from now, listening to this, to go, I want to show up in Athlone and I want to partake in Rachel's event?
Do you know what? I'd be all for the latter of what you said there. Just sign up. Like, really, I think that that's part of the hardest decision you're going to make. Like, as I said, every movement is so accessible. Like, it's very, very doable for anybody. Like, I even have a friend who's a brilliant runner, and she took part in the 6-week fundamentals course that we had on in our gym there. It was basically a 6-week block of Hyrox for beginners. So they had 2 classes a week for 6 weeks. That kind of brought them through all the movement standards, the techniques, the tips and tricks. And as I said, brilliant runner already, but she was kind of saying, oh, no, I can't do your event until like I've practiced all of the stations. And like, that's fair enough, but I know for a fact that girl would be well able to do it without even knowing about the stations. Obviously, you do need to know, but like, she would be well able, but it's just kind of something you have in your head. Like you said, Eric, oh no, I need to be good at something before I do it. I don't feel that's the case for Hyrox. I think just bite the bullet, buy a ticket, and then you just find that you're able to do it, really. And everyone's talking you through all the movements, so it's doable.
The atmosphere and the encouragement alone.
Yeah, it did. And as Sean just said, the atmosphere, encouragement, and people who sign up to the likes of a Helen Back, you don't know what you're signing up for. You're just told what to do at the stage that you do it. So if you come with, a little bit of a background into what's expected of you and a little bit of training, you can definitely have a sample. And particularly now that you're offering the half sims, it's absolutely amazing.
And you've a great base then. You've done the first one, right? You mightn't have known very much about it, but then okay, God, I really found those lunges hard. At least you know what to take with you into your training then, without having worried about it too much beforehand, So I definitely think that's the way forward, is to just kind of try it and take it as a little experiment, a day out. So what if you don't do so well? Like, it's just a good baseline.
Eric had an idea before for a marathon, the miserable marathon or something like that, you call it.
What do you mean, had?
But you see the gears turn. Maybe there's someone listening to this podcast and their gears are turning. Atlone's cool and all, it's great, it's better than RDS, we've established that, but I'd love to do something out in their gym or out in their location, stuff like that as well. But for Hyrox or hybrid training, you need a few skis, you need a few sleds, you need a few wall balls and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's a lot to get to buy all that in, but there is a way of renting it, Rachel.
Yeah, so that's just kind of a recent avenue we've kind of been exploring. We had our first rental there just this month, actually. So basically, we have all the equipment, obviously, and it's just kind of sitting there in an Arctic trailer when we're not using it. So we aim for 3 events a year at summer, Christmas, and Easter. So when we're not using it, as I said, it's just sitting in the Arctic. So a lot of people around the country want to run these events, in their own gym. But as you said, it's a massive kind of upfront investment, I suppose. So we started just renting out the equipment. So basically, we just get a driver and they drive up to you guys, and we have a few guys there that will help you kind of set up and show you the lay of the land. But you have everything there that you need to run like a Hyrox event or even a fitness event. It doesn't have to be Hyrox, let's say. You can kind of change it up if you like. So that's gone really well. And yeah, we'd love to kind of drive that on even more, kind of to see more simulations and see more fitness events around Ireland.
Yeah, make that miserable, Eric.
Well, doing the event, if you're not fit, like you drag me around, sometimes it was like the blind leading the blind. But it is great. So gyms can get involved on a local level and try it out, and maybe even GAA clubs, soccer club, anyone who's thinking about, can we do our own day, fundraising day? That's exactly what they're looking for, Rachel, is it?
Yeah, exactly. And funny you say that, because it's been a lot of GAA kind of clubs that have gotten in contact, for fundraisers. What a perfect place to run a Hyrox on, like a football pitch. On a perfect fundraiser, you could do family relays, you could do, senior partners, you could do mom and daughter, father and son. There's so many avenues you can explore there. And like with the different weights on the Arctic, like the possibilities really are endless on what you could do.
I'm back in the defence forces now, Rachel, in the Air Corps. I'm going to have the defence force.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm going to call
Team
it the world championship for this event. This is going to be great. What about the
Be
miserable northern
class.
Sean? I've got a new one. I've got an Arctic truck full of pain, and I'm bringing it. It's going to be amazing.
People will see you coming and they'll start running.
Well, that's the idea. Rachel, it is brilliant to see, and sometimes like we have with this podcast, and as I have felt, and I'm really grateful for the amount of people that are recognizing us and shouting abuse at me, which I love, by the way. It's really nice to see how far we've grown since we last talked. You know, there's 300 plus episodes. Do you pinch yourself to see when you put on an event? Because putting on an event, one, scary, investment, scary, passion for it will always get you there. And I always say that, and you have a great passion for the sport, and you're a phenomenal athlete. Do you still pinch yourself when even the likes of me and Sean are showing up going, "Hey, Rachel, great event, this is great," you know, like, is it a stage that you're like, I knew it would do it, because obviously you wouldn't have done the work you've done, but there does come a point where thousands of people, 1,200 showing up, rocking in, smiling, working hard, going away happy. Does that feeling feel weird to you?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Even when you say it there, I'm like, what? Like, and I think for all of us involved, like that's definitely the feeling, because the passion that's got us there for sure. But even like the things behind the scenes, you know, registrations, waivers, equipment, setting it up, like there's so many moving elements to it. But obviously we're all total rookies. We all have jobs, you know, like this is just kind of something on the side that we're trying to kind of put together, but we're always pinching ourselves. Like every time we walk into Athlone, we're like, oh my God, like this is mad. Like, but I think it really is the people that make it. Like the buzz of the energy that people bring to the arena is just like really the icing on the cake after it all. You know, like just people genuinely happy, encouraging each other on, just doing a bit of fitness, you know, like I think that's what it's all about, and that's what drives us as well, keeping that in mind.
Rachel, I do want to talk about your next event in April, but those two words came up again, World Championships, and this is more from my own curiosity. What's the Red Bull Gym Clash, and has this led to another World Championship appearance for you?
Oh yeah.
I told you were doing something. Oh man.
I think that's just a bit random as well. Like that I suppose that was a team of four, two boys, two girls, that you needed to get together, and you needed to get through your province, and then needed to get through All Ireland, and then onto the Worlds now. So we just had the All Irelands there in Belfast last month in January. So yeah, we made it through to the Worlds. That's going to be in Egypt in November. And that would kind of be, I'm not sure how to describe that competition. It's probably a little bit more CrossFit-y. It's not Hyrox, obviously. It's kind of CrossFit-y. So the WODs there was a strength one. So it's a 1 rep max clean, a front squat and jerk. And then it was your total combined score. And then the second WOD was like an AMRAP, how many rounds you can get done in 20 minutes. And then the third WOD was something for time. So 3 very different workouts, very versatile. I felt like you really need to be balancing all kind of sides of strength, endurance, fitness. Like there's so many moving parts to that. So yeah, that's been kind of random as well. I think we were, I'm going to say, I always say we're lucky, but I suppose again, that idea of imposter syndrome, I think with all of us on the team, we're kind of like, what the hell just happened? But I think sometimes when you're just used to kind of digging deep, you just really go for it. And I suppose that kind of gets you to a lot of places, really, when you're willing to dig really deep.
I don't think you can say lucky if it's 3 different sports and World Championships, Rachel. That can't be luck at that stage.
Well, look, it's definitely preparation meeting opportunity and desire to be there as well. It's absolutely phenomenal. When you that kind of answers the question, but I want to ask it anyway because I've been thinking of it as we moved into this event stage. When you can get involved in organising an event, you can be a little bit, I suppose, look, I haven't got time because we've got registration open, and I'll take a little bit step back because we've got 4 events, 5 events coming up now. We've got equipment rental, and I have a full-time job. Everything else is kind of taking hold. How do you fit it all in, especially maintaining your own standards as an athlete, qualifying for yet another World Championship that you seem to forget all about? Well, how do you keep your drive to still keep performing while doing all of this and while being so busy?
Yeah, I suppose it can be hard, like, but I suppose it's part of my life now. I think it's just part of my routine to make sure that I fit in training. Like, I'd be an absolute psychopath probably if I didn't. I think it's just all about planning and planning your day, and setting aside time for, Hybrid Series Ireland stuff in the evening, setting aside like a 2-hour block, knowing when I get home after, it's obviously when I get home after school, I'm going to train. And then after I train, then I get onto that. It's just, it's really about preparation. Okay, obviously I have weeks where I'm just a little bit all over the shop and it doesn't go kind of accordingly. But yeah, I think planning and preparation. And I know myself, I'm a better person when I train. I'm more, I'm a lot more, what's the word?
Tolerable, Rachel. Tolerable.
Tolerable, maybe.
Brave man jumping in there, Eric. I was saying nothing.
Sorry, when you can't think
I'm a lot more projective.
Yeah, well, I was just speaking for all of those around you, Rachel. That's all I was doing there.
All right, Eric.
when you're functioning higher and when you're training, your brain, everything is operating at a higher level. And it helps you make those decisions. And what you're doing is absolutely fantastic. Does it give you also front row seats to competitors? Are you looking at people with techniques, gym with different trainings? Are you picking the minds of some of the people who are showing up to your event and going, actually, that could be a doubles partner? Or, what does it mean when you get to see people who are trying it for the first time? Like, you're like a scout. You basically see like, oh, this is my first time. I just signed up. And you're like, my God, they are excellent. How do we get this person more involved in the sport? What's it like in that regard?
Yeah, you do see a lot of that as well. And I think it's a lot of the time people just not believing in themselves. And we come across a lot of people who've just tried it for the first time and like, oh my God, look at how good they are. They have a natural kind of ability to dig in. That's a big part of Hyrox. And it's definitely opened the door to a lot of kind of new connections and new friendships, I suppose. So in that sense, it's been amazing. And I think encouragement is a big part of that. Making people believe like how good they actually are at the sport. Because even in our own gym, we've seen people come in and say, oh, no, I'm not great. But like when they're comparing their progress to other people in our gym, it would be very, very competitive gym. Like when they go out into an actual Hyrox race, it's then when they see how well they're actually performing and how amazing their training has actually been. So that it's really nice to see that.
Rachel, when's the next HSI event?
So Easter Saturday and Easter Sunday, so the 4th and 5th of April.
Is there still a chance to get tickets for that now, or are they all sold out, or you still get tickets?
We're about 90% of Saturday sold out. There's still a good few tickets for Sunday left because we just launched that was it last week? So
brilliant.
Yeah, there's still a little chance to get tickets, but I think this is going to be a good one. There's a few more tweaks that we've made that will make the kind of event hopefully a little bit bigger and better. So yeah, it's really exciting.
And Rachel, how do people find out more about you, the Hybrid Series Ireland events? How do they keep in touch? Because like anything, tickets, as we've even talked about it, are going to start selling out a hell of a lot quicker each year because the popularity of the sport is growing. How do people keep in touch to see when your events are coming out and stay up to date on all the information? And where do they get the tickets?
So we do have a website, hybridseriesireland.ie. Instagram is probably the best platform to kind of connect with us because we post all of our updates there. We post like tips and tricks for each of the stations. We post what to expect on race day. We're really good at getting back to people. So if anyone ever has a question, you can always DM us on Instagram or even contact us through our webpage. We genuinely love hearing from people, and like we do get the odd email of people saying, look, where do I even start? Like, and we like to get those emails because like, it shows somebody's interested, but they just need that final push. So any questions, any ideas even, any recommendations for us to implement on race day, we're always open to hearing feedback and trying to make the event bigger and better.
Eric, I think I've got an idea for Christmas presents for you this year as well.
Are you giving it to me on Easter Sunday, are you?
Well, we're both out of the country on Easter Sunday, so unfortunately we can't make this.
I'm back.
You're back. Well, then you can do a singles then. You can do a singles on Sunday and get a good training in.
Half of a single. Like an easy single. But yeah, look, we'll keep it in mind. We'll keep it in mind. But Rachel, it has been absolutely amazing having you. We are so delighted to see it going so well. And on that element of someone who has shown up and genuinely just shown up with a friend who dragged me around, it is achievable. And I can hand on heart say that with zero training and poor running training at that Sean can vouch for that, I survived. And I really enjoyed the toughness of it. I enjoyed seeing real athletes, you know, like phenomenal people who are all over this country, and it's a fantastic community event. The people, and I will speak for all the people who worked at your event, they were so welcoming from the minute you walked in the door, from registration to goodie bags. Even just, they could see at times I was probably struggling and we were last in the race. They weren't too hard on me, you know, they were supportive. Your photographers made me look good, you know, like, everything about it was just made, it was a really, really nice experience. And I did come away from it going, do you know what, I'd like to improve for me, not because I want to compete with them. And that event gave me the confidence to do it. So I hope if you are listening and you are thinking about it and you are in a run club and you have a couple of buddies that you might like to try something new to supplement, and I will say supplement your running training, because it absolutely does. It's definitely the place to be. So hopefully lots of people will be seeing you over the Easter bank holiday weekend. I might see, I don't know about Sean now, but he seems to be going soft
100%.
now.
I'm out of the country.
Around. I'm actually going to sign you up myself now. I'll get all your details.
Eric,
and
you're in.
I'll do
Eric.
We'll
have a review episode coming up on it. Eric, you're in. I am actually out of the country, so that's on you, Eric. Waving the AGR flag for on HSI. I love it.
Perfect. I mean, look, you've no excuse, Eric.
I tell you, I need a buddy. If anyone out there is willing to be my buddy on Easter Sunday.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, you have to be reasonably unfit. That's the only rules. You have to make me look the same as you. You can't be embarrassing me, and I can't be holding you back. They're the rules. So if anyone wants to do it, Rachel, I'll sign up. I'll bring a buddy.
Perfect. Good deal. I'll be on to you again next week if I don't hear from you.
We are about to run the worst competition of all time. Be Eric's buddy for our HSI. I love it. And on that note, that's the best way we've ever ended an episode of the podcast. But on that note, thank you for listening.
Look, there's a big spectator area as well, so you can bring a crew and then they can all watch you suffer.
I don't know if I want people to see this, Rachel.
It'll be a spectacle.
Eric, you've got 4 weeks, pal. You better start doing wobbles and sleds. Let's go.
Let's go. Thanks so much, Rachel. It's been fantastic. Thanks very much.
Thanks a million, guys.
Myself,
great to chat to you.
Rachel, and Eric. Take care.